Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. What caused the Ukrainian National Airlines plane crash in Tehran remains an open question. However, representatives of the governments of the United States, Canada and the United Kingdom have claimed today that they have evidence of what brought the airliner down. The crash on Wednesday morning could have been the result of Iranian anti-aircraft fire. Iranian authorities have categorically denied any responsibility for the air disaster. 176, mostly Iranian Canadian citizens, died.
American and Canadian officials claim information showing that the jetliner was shot down. It crashed shortly after takeoff. The New York Times has published a record that allegedly confirms this information. Both U.S. President Donald Trump and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau support this theory.
We have intelligence from multiple sources, including our allies and our own intelligence, that indicates that the plane was shot down by an Iranian surface-to-air missile. This may well have been unintentional. This new information reinforces the need for a thorough investigation of this matter. As the Prime Minister said today, Canadians have questions and they deserve answers. I would add to that that the world has questions and that the world expects answers.
I have my suspicions. It was very, I don't want to say that because other people have those suspicions also. It's a tragic thing. When I see that, it's a tragic thing. But somebody could have made a mistake on the other side. Could have made a mistake. It was flying. It was flying in not our system. No, it has nothing to do with us. It was flying in a pretty rough neighborhood, and somebody could have made a mistake. Some people say it was mechanical. I personally don't think that's even a question. Personally. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't want to get, that's up to them. At some point, they'll release the black box. Ideally, they'd get it to Boeing.
When should we expect to see sanctions on Iran following the attacks?
Immediately. It's already been done, yeah. We've increased them. They were very severe, but now it's increased substantially. I just approved it a little while ago with Treasury.
Who will they be against and what sort of sanctions?
Well, you'll see. I mean, we'll put out a minor announcement. It's actually a major event.
Representatives of each country whose citizens died will participate with Iranian officials in the investigation. Citizens of 7 countries were killed, including Ukrainian, Swedish, Afghani, German, British, and 82 Iranians and 63 Canadians.
Poland's parliament has overwhelmingly passed a resolution condemning statements made by Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Russian leader has, lately, strongly maintained that Poland played a significant part in causing the Second World War. Only one MP failed to vote.
The Parliament of the Republic of Poland condemns the untruthful statements made by the authorities of the Russian Federation purporting to assign blame to Poland for the outbreak of the Second World War.
Much emotion and controversy was generated by this photograph. The lone MP out of 460, Janusz Korwin-Mikke, refused to stand. MPs of his Confederation Party declined to comment on this extraordinary behavior. He was sitting over there, but I don't see him sitting over here. I can invite him over if you want. He will surely give a very interesting answer. Thank God I'm not Mr. Mike's spokesman, because this would be a difficult job. We are working together so well because in our party we don't have to agree, even on such important issues. You'd have to ask him. Korwin-Mikke attempted to explain himself afterwards via social media, emphasizing that he despises democracy. For the same reasons, I believe the parliament shouldn't take on such matters like the Nobel Prize in Literature for Olga Tokarczuk. I believe it shouldn't be discussing what stupid things the Russian president said. What is more, parliament's resolution was filled with trivial fragments straight from the history books. If parliament needs to legislatively declare historical truths, it means that the truths don't defend themselves on their own. Of course, in cases such as this, I wouldn't even appear in parliament, but I was surprised by a sudden change in the order of the proceedings. They say, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. I prefer to live by the words of late Henrik Ibsen. The strong is the strongest when he's standing alone, even when he's sitting, not standing. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki had a different view on the matter, underlining the importance of Parliament leading a strong historical policy. Today, something important happened in the Parliament of the Republic of Poland. The provocative statements of Russian politicians falsifying Poland's history were met with a firm response by MPs of all political parties. A special resolution was passed unanimously by acclamation. I would like to sincerely thank all members of Parliament and encourage them more often to speak with one voice on matters important for the country.
On Sunday, the next final of the Great Orchestra of Christmas Charity will take place. Today, during a pre-event press conference, the leader of the orchestra, Jerzy Owsiak, spoke about how he interested the Chinese ambassador in the project and that he was given a woven silk picture with a fish motif to be sold at an auction during this year's final.
Thank you to all those from the world, from outside of Poland, who signaled to us that they are interested. A special thanks to the Chinese ambassador, who was the only one to answer our questions, and we sent them to all embassies, as we do every year. Could you support us with some gadget? And the Chinese ambassador said, I would like to meet you, Mr. Owsiak. And for an hour, the ambassador of China, a world superpower, was listening about what our foundation is doing. He did not talk about China. I did talk about Poland.
And in foreign news, an explosion at a mosque in Quetta, in southwestern Pakistan, killed at least 13 people, including a senior police officer, and wounded 20 others. Police said that an improvised explosive device had been planted at the mosque inside a seminary in the city on the border with Afghanistan and Iran.
The bomb went off during evening prayers on Friday. This was the second bombing in Quetta this week. Dr. Wasim Beg, a spokesman for the main hospital, told Reuters that 13 dead and 20 injured had been brought in, adding that many of the wounded were in serious condition. A senior police officer, Haji Amanullah, was among the dead. His son was killed by an unknown assailant last month. A spokesman for the Pakistan military said that paramilitary troops were conducting a search of the vicinity. The mineral and gas-rich region of Balochistan is at the center of the $60 billion China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which is part of China's Belt and Road Infrastructure project. Violence in Balochistan has fueled concerns about the security of projects, such as Plan Energy Link from western China to Pakistan's southern port of Gwadar.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business, and more programs. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.
I'm Katarzyna Nowicka and welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tonight. It will be a cloudy night with rainfall in north and central Poland. The south of the country will be partly cloudy and temperatures in Poland will range from 7 degrees in Gdańsk to 1 degree in Rzeszów. And now over to tomorrow. More cloudy skies to come our way with some sunshine by the seaside. Rain is to appear in Łódź and Katowice. The highest temperature on Saturday will be 8 degrees in Poznań. Let's take a look at the forecast for the following 3 days. Sunday is to bring some sunshine to southern Poland, with temperatures ranging from 6 to 3 degrees. Monday will be a little warmer, with the highest temperature being 8 degrees in the northwest. On Tuesday, partly cloudy skies will cover most of the country, with temperatures ranging from 7 to 2 degrees. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Poland Daily Business. Tonight we will talk about the beginning of the 2020. Some say this is also beginning of the 2020s. Some say that this is the end of 2090s. Well, depends. Jerzy Bielewicz, Gazeta Bankowa writer and analyst, is at our studio. And sir, we will start it from the tensions that we see in the world. What are the genesis of these tensions and where does it lead to?
I have contrary view about tensions. I would think that they dissipate right now. That the world order comes. There is a new world order, which is to dissipate the tensions between superpowers in the world, and it's my private satisfaction recently because I was talking about bipolar world order for 2 years, I would say, and I hear that some analytical powerhouses say the same right now. Eurasia Group consultancy is talking about bipolar war order at this point as well.
Some analysts say that we see demise of the American empire that started as a unifying world power in 1990s with the fall of Soviet Union, and now is being challenged by China. Is China able to take over America or United States and take over the Western world in consecutive? Do they have manpower? Do they have ideology? Do they have technology? Do they have will to do that?
I don't think so, and it's my deep conviction. I would say that the thesis that you sounded about decline of U.S. on the world scene was to some extent true during the Obama years. Reset with Russia, different approach to Middle East, to Central Europe. At this point, with Trump as leader of the United States, the United States rebuilds its influence all over the world and has some close associates to rebuild its powers around the world. And surprise, surprise, it's China. This is the bipolar world that I see right now for many, many decades to come. That on one side there would be the United States, which is superior in many areas to China, and on the other side there would be China, and this would be the same, the new
What
world
about
order.
American allies in Southeastern Asia? Because there are the tensions. The China, with its aggressive policy, is endangering those nations. Like, I mean, Philippines, I mean, Vietnam. They are not really comfortable with the new assertive China.
This was the true during Obama years. The Chinese policy was very, very aggressive because the United States withdrew from many activities, and the alliance in Asia were under question mark during the Obama years. It's not the case right now. China is no longer that aggressive in South China Sea, and we would have an agreement signed in a few days, next week, on January 15th, between the United States and China, and there would be other agreements coming, for example, regarding military and nuclear sectors with China. And Russia's role is declining rapidly right now. For example, Belarus, where the United States just opened the embassy, and China is refinancing the this country dead. So it's a new bipolar world order, and most of the big issue would be considered and decided between the United States and China.
So your prediction is that this year is going to be calmer than 2019 and 2018.
Exactly. And Middle East is no longer that important, because we have the biggest player on the crude oil market right now is the United States.
And that makes a whole difference. So thank you very much for this insight. Jerzy Bielewicz, Gazeta Bankowa analyst and writer, was our guest. And
thank you for your invitation.
It was a pleasure to have you. And this was Poland Daily Business.
I'm Katarzyna Nowicka, and welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tonight. It will be a cloudy night with rainfall in north and central Poland. The south of the country will be partly cloudy, and temperatures in Poland will range from 7 degrees in Gdańsk to 1 degree in Rzeszów. And now over to tomorrow. More cloudy skies to come our way with some sunshine by the seaside. Rain is to appear in Łódź and Katowice. The highest temperature on Saturday will be 8 degrees in Poznań. Let's take a look at the forecast for the following 3 days. Sunday is to bring some sunshine to southern Poland, with temperatures ranging from 6 to 3 degrees. Monday will be a little warmer, with the highest temperature being 8 degrees in the northwest. On Tuesday, partly cloudy skies will cover most of the country, with temperatures ranging from 7 to 2 degrees. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Good day, everyone. My name is Maria Kądzielska, and this is Poland Daily Culture. In this series of programs, I'll be talking to an American musician who so much fell in love in Poland that he decided to stay for good. Just last month, in November, there was a premiere of his musical Letter from Warsaw. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Goodman.
Nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
And thank you for being with us. But before we dig up more of his secrets, at first, let's listen to his music. Gary, you are producing 2 projects with Sasha Strunin. One is Women in Black, the other one is Self-Portrait. You are the producer and you're the author of music, and you also perform yourself. And as I've learned, you were the trigger to change Sasha Strunin from her pop career and from very pop commercial music to jazz. How did you manage this?
The word that you use, trigger, is also interesting. I think Sasha was ready. So the word trigger is accurate in the sense that I challenged her to focus on what she wanted next. I just simply asked that question. We met by accident. I was involved in a very big project with about 30 musicians based on Jerzy Wasowski's music. And as it turned out, the sound engineer at that time in the studio was Sasha's boyfriend. So when she came into the studio, he introduced her to me. And actually, now that I think about it, my wife and I had met Sasha the year before. This is how this worked, because her manager at the time was a friend of a friend. So we heard about Sasha, and we had met with Sasha We had a coffee and we talked. And Sasha was still looking, searching for what next. She had gone back to university, studied photography and film, which is another passion of hers, and she's very talented with that as well. And so when I met Sasha in the studio a year later, we went for another coffee, and I said, "So, what are you doing? What's new?" And she goes, "Well, I'm still not sure yet." And I said, "Well, would you like to talk about it?" She said yes. And I asked her one question. I said, "Okay, if you could choose only one style of music that you could perform and could record next, only one, what style would that be?" And she thought about it, and she said, "Jazz noir from the 1950s. She said, "I grew up watching movies, Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart in the 40s and 50s, the Hollywood style of music, and when jazz was very romantic in those days, and jazz noir was very romantic in the 50s. I said, "Well, that's very cool." I said, "That's a great idea, and I know this music is before my time, but I grew up playing Hollywood-style music and jazz noir. I mean, I grew up playing it." And I said, "Well, if you're interested, let's work together." So she said, "Okay." And the short story is we created a project called Woman in Black.
Which is jazz noir.
It's jazz, swing, little bit of rock noir. It's kind of a combination, but yes, it really followed the pattern. We had tremendous fun with this. This album, she sang entirely in English. It's a great fun album. It was really well done, great musicians, Polish production as well, and very successful.
Glad to hear it. I'm glad it happened. And the next one was Self-Portrait with Miron Białaszewski's poetry. And just he's so surrealistic. And the question is, his poetry is very surrealistic. He creates lots of new words. He sees the reality from a totally different angle. Sometimes a little bit hard to understand. And that's why he's not the most melodic of all of the Polish poets. I would say if you took Tuwim or Mickiewicz, it might be easier. But you chose Białaszewski. And tell me, please, from your American perspective as well, as you needed to learn more about this poetry and this so his way, what did you personally took from this experience?
One of the most important things I learned from my mentors and producer icons in the United States is that in order to be a successful producer, you must understand what your artist wants. And that connection has to be really strong. No producer can come in and convince an artist of what they should do. It's tried all the time, but at the end of the day, it doesn't work because the artist usually isn't satisfied and the project doesn't come out as well as everybody had hoped. So when Sasha came to me with some of her favorite poetry, she loved Białaszewski. This was her passion. She's a voracious reader. She reads 5 books a week, all different kinds of subjects. So she and my wife came to me and she said, "We want to do an album of Białaszewski." And my first response was, "Do you really want it? Is this a passion of yours?" And she goes, "Yes." And I said, "Great." Because as a producer, that's the first question that the answer to which I care about. The second question is, am I the right person to produce that project? And the more we talked about it, it was a joint decision that I was maybe perhaps not the only producer or composer, but that I liked the opportunity of working with surreal poetry. And when we decided that the music wouldn't be as surreal as the poetry, the music would have more form and more substance, I said, okay, this works better for me because I like beautiful melodies and beautiful harmonies and great rhythmical patterns, and the music needs to tell a story along with the text. This is how I came to decide that I actually was the right person to produce the project. It's really important for people who call themselves producers or want to produce to be on the same page, to be in the same mindset with the artist about the project. Producer has to love the project as much as the artist does. And if those two things aren't in sync with each other, then in my opinion, the project can't be as successful.
I do really think that you gave a form of Białaszewski, which probably he never thought his poetry will ever get. Maybe it became more approachable for a broader audience, or definitely totally different and with a little bit different style, and you kind of mix things, which I think that Białaszewski would appreciate. And I think the best say that certain literature or poetry is durable during time, so it maintains this challenge of times, is when other artists take it and rearrange it and remake it. And you did it with Białaszewski, so you definitely gave him at least few years or of more life for the audience, and that's extremely important, especially that it is a high culture and it's not pop culture, so that's not easy, and it also should be done. It has a bigger message.
You're absolutely right. It's very well said, and the proof of that is that we've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people come up to us who really enjoyed the concert and said, I'm going to go out and buy a book of Białaszewski's poetry now. They hadn't done that before. People who perhaps weren't interested in surreal poetry, because it's a small segment of society that likes surreal poetry.
Already a very small segment of society reads poetry, so this must be even smaller.
Yeah, that as well, that's true. And even a smaller segment that reads books at all, okay? So there's that too. But that was the interesting proof of exactly what you just said, is that people have come up to Sasha and me saying, man, the music is great, we love the music. And then we say, well, what do you think of the poetry? And a few people would say, well, I don't really understand the poetry. And I said, perfect, because that's Białaszewski, but you have an opportunity to listen to it again and again and again, and you'll understand. I mean, this is the process of reading and understanding surreal poetry. But they love the music, and I think you're right. I think Białaszewski would have appreciated any kind of music that would bring his poetry to a larger audience.
Absolutely. If you think that things are not possible, then take Białaszewski and just put it together and see what happens. It seems that the most extravagant mixed are the best, in fact. And thank you for watching Poland Daily Culture.
Welcome to Poland Daily History with me, Nicholas Richardson. In this series of episodes, we're going to be looking at Polish history from a British perspective and also Anglo-Polish relations in a geopolitical context. And I'm delighted to have with me in the studio today Richard Barclay, who is half Polish. He's been living in Poland for 20 years and is able to bring a unique perspective onto this subject.
Interestingly, I'm just reading a wonderful new book by, his name is Alan Walker, on Chopin, and it really is absolutely the authoritative publication on Chopin. And of course, Chopin did go to England once, and he was well received. But what's interesting is the Polish view of the English to come out, and the English were regarded as cold, uncultured, arrogant, isolationist. You know.
Well, I think if you come from and this is a very continental European approach to talk about Little Englanders.
Yes, shopkeepers even.
If there's yes, well that's fine. But if there's any nation which cannot be described as small, it's the British, because we have been as a nation to more parts of the world and done more things than anybody else. And it's particularly the German sort of obsession with this I call them little Middle Europeans, you know, this obsession with Germany and just the bits around Germany. Whereas we've always taken a more global view.
Well, yes, you may say that, but we took a global view in order to conquer, whereas the Chinese, if you think of Admiral Zheng He in the 14th century, who had these massive ships, 9 masters, with 1,000 people on, you know, they had even ship farms to allow this great fleet to go around the world. He didn't go around the world with cannon and soldiers and with ideas of domination. He went around the world giving presents to people and getting presents in return. You know, he brought a giraffe from Mogadishu and gave it to the Emperor of China. Unfortunately, you see, I think we are slightly deluded into thinking that we serve the world as a benign patrician sort of state. We were not. I mean, the East India Company, which was the most ruthless corporate organisation ever to exist on the face of the earth. I mean,
indeed, yes.
It was they who raped and pillaged Bengal, the greatest industrial manufacturing area anywhere on earth. It was they who traded opium in order to destroy the Chinese Empire. Everything that everywhere we look that was pink was really as a result of the most brutal form of capitalism, of corporate capitalism. And really, you know, Procter & Gamble and Unilever and all these very second-rate companies today could take, if they really wanted to be corporate raiders, they could take a lesson out of the East India Company, which had to be nationalised in the end, if you remember.
And then thinking...
A great case for nationalisation.
Yes, and think about sort of Anglo-Polish relations, because then I think the next period where it actually becomes very interesting is once Poland has been re-established after the First World War, and then, of course, with the Soviet-Polish Wars,
yes.
and then the 1921 Treaty of Riga, which then really established and kept the Russians out of Europe. We then enter this rather interesting 20-year period betwixt the wars. And, of course, this is, I think, when Polish-British relations then sort of become interesting again, because it ultimately led to this guarantee which the British and the French gave to Poland in the event of Germany.
And the British
invading.
kept their side of the bargain.
Yes.
They declared war on Germany.
They did.
And this is something that Poles don't understand. Between the 1920s and 1939, the British really hoped that war was behind them.
Yeah, and I think yes, and I think it's very important to note in this context that many of those people making the decisions in the British government and other governments
suffered terribly.
Had themselves been, you know, we had been in the First World War. For example, Anthony Eden, who's the Foreign Secretary during the
Macmillan, everybody.
Eden and Macmillan. Eden had actually fought in the same.
Churchill himself.
Yes, Eden had fought in the same battle as Hitler.
Yeah.
Eden lost 2 brothers in the First World War.
Yeah.
So you can understand they would do absolutely anything to try and avoid a war.
Anything to avoid a war. And the other thing that is very interesting is the role of Russia in Western thinking. Now, if you look at Lenin, for example, Lenin and his worldview was basically this. No, sorry, Hitler. Hitler and his worldview was basically this. You had Wall Street and you had Moscow. And they were both equally bad. They were both, in his very primitive view of the world, Jewish-dominated empires. And his view of the world, which was shared by many people in the English upper classes, detracted or distracted Western politicians from what was happening in Germany. They were wholly focused on the Soviet threat.
Yes.
And the Soviet threat really led, actually, this complete absorption with what Russia was doing and and of course, you know, why did the King George V? Why did he allow Nicholas II to be killed? Why didn't he save him? He was afraid. They were afraid of the revolution. They were afraid of the weapons.
They were afraid of the reaction the people would be.
Exactly right.
Which is actually was probably a mistake. I mean, because you know the British are not really we're not a really very revolutionary people.
No, but today Nicholas would be, well, I don't know. We did execute the king. We did have a republic, if you remember, for a while.
Yeah.
We we can be revolutionary. I mean, but we learn our lessons quickly. You see, that's the other thing that really annoys me, is the way that people talk about the French Revolution. But we did it 100 years before.
Without actually killing too many people.
Without killing too many people, no. I mean, we did chop the king's head off, which was pretty shocking in those days. Actually, the Lord's Anointed. People honestly expected, there was a great gasp when his head was chopped off, you know.
I can imagine, yes.
And people really expected the world to stop. The fact that it didn't.
I don't know if you're a game buff or not, but if you are, the Pinball Museum, that is the interactive Pinball Museum in Warsaw, is a place you have to go. It's right in the center, so you'll have little trouble finding it. Here you'll find a whole history of pinball machines, many of which have been lovingly restored. Not only that, you'll find all the games from the 1980s and before that you really love, like Space Invaders, for example, or Pong. This really is an interactive history of games. And the beauty of it is you can do it in a room with a lot of other people, your friends or even strangers. You don't have to sit at home all alone. It's 40 zlotys for up to 9 fun-packed hours. So come one, come all to the Warsaw Interactive Pinball Arcade. I'm Will Richardson, and this is Poland Daily Travel. Sometimes we really do have a lot of fun, and this is definitely one of those times. And if you like shooting ghouls, then this place is really going to make your day, punks.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Poland Daily Travel. We're in the Pinball Museum and the Game Museum here in Warsaw. And you know what? We're going to look at this. You know, this is Pavel, by the way. I forgot to say. Pavel and Miriam. Yeah. Wave to the guys. Okay.
Let's shoot somebody.
We're going to shoot some people here, or not real people, figurative people. It's like it's like a Tarantino movie. It's not real violence. They're bad guys. We got to get them.
We need to rescue girl.
We can say
that. You need to rescue Rachel.
Hey, Miriam. You can pretend they're Al Qaeda. Yeah. Yeah. You can get them all, or Taliban.
Grab the gun.
Yeah.
Grab it.
Grab that gun.
Yeah, grab
okay.
the gun. Shoot.
So what do you do?
Shoot the screen. Shoot the screen. Okay.
And now you're starting, right?
Step on the pedal. Yes. Step. Shoot story game.
You shoot the story game. Okay.
You need to focus. Shoot. Down. Story game. Okay. Stage 1. Let's rescue, let's kill somebody. Shoot screen to fast forward to see. Shoot screen. Shoot it. Okay. Now, when you step on the pedal, you go up. Step on it. See?
You step on the pedal, right?
Yeah. And go down.
Yeah, yeah.
When you go down, you reload.
Great, Scott. Okay. Miriam, you're amazing.
Okay.
She's lethal.
Closer of the screen, yeah. And now.
Oh boy. They can run, but they can't hide.
It's very, very, very good game.
Yeah, for practicing.
You really need to be focused on the target.
To shoot it, yeah?
To shoot it.
Yeah.
You can get the seat.
Oh, I like
you
it.
can get the guy with one shot.
That's very satisfying, yeah. Oh, look at that.
There is a woman that don't like guys.
She's very good. I would say that's, but Miriam's not a, you know, she's not a, whatever, what's the opposite of a misogynist? Well, a non-misogynist.
Yes.
But
Shoot, yes, okay. And she was killed.
She got killed.
Yeah, she got killed.
No, don't do that, Miriam. You got to get them. Listen, I remember there was a game I used to play. Miriam, keep killing people. And there was a game I used to play that had monsters in it. It was called Haunted House or House of...
Yeah, but pinball machine you're talking about. Pinball.
No. It was a shooting game, and I would shoot.
House of the Haunted.
And there was these
House.
ghosts who are coming
Okay.
out, monsters.
Monsters. I don't
Remember that
have
game?
I don't have that game.
Ah, I used to love that
I
game.
just I saw it on the YouTube only.
Yeah.
I didn't see any.
No, this was like, it was a while ago. It was 15 years ago or something.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
But maybe it was House of Dead.
House of Dead, that was
Oh, okay.
House of Dead. It was very good.
Okay.
You know that
But
one?
it was.
Is that a good one?
House of very good.
Yeah. I love that
I
game.
have it.
You have it?
Yeah.
You have it upstairs?
Not here.
Oh, no.
But I have it. I love this game.
I could spend a lot of money here and a lot of,
This is
a lot of
classic
hours.
game,
Yeah, but that's fun too. I like that.
but it's 1995.
This is called Time Crisis,
Time
right?
Crisis. It is first Time Crisis.
Uh-huh.
Yeah? And the first day game with 3D graphics.
Yeah. Okay. The first one with 3D graphics.
Yes, with shooting game. Yes.
That's amazing. You get a lot of people come here on parties and things like that.
Oh, just go after work. You can
after
come and drink a beer and play at the pinballs. And the weekend you can come with
With your kids, your family.
Yeah.
What does it cost me to come here per person? What does it
Per
cost?
person. Adult person, it's
Yeah.
40 zloty.
40 zlotys for 1 hour?
No, for a whole day.
For a whole day?
Yeah.
40 zlotys for a whole day? Folks, this is an amazing, that's an amazing deal. And I can tell Miriam is already hooked. We'll be back with more from the Pinball Museum. Stay tuned to Poland Daily Travel. Get him, Miriam. Come on, Miriam. Shoot him. Okay, Pavel, so, welcome back, folks. Pavel, what have we got here? This caught my eye.
Sega, 1997, Super Hang-On.
And what do you do?
One of the... Whoa.
It's a driving machine? Oh, it's a motorcycle.
Yes. Like in the motorcycle. But it's from 1987. You need to be the fastest. Yeah?
Okay.
I love this game.
That's amazing.
I love this game. For me, it's one of the best.
a long time ago.
For me, it's one of the best fast games in the world. For me.
Yeah, because you got to stay on the motorcycle.
Yeah. I need to be really fast and focused in 100% to get those guys.
People can come. You must have people who come here and stay for a week.
Now I play. Okay, checkpoint. If you are the best, you can play.
Yeah.
You don't put any coins inside because you paid for a ticket. But 25 years ago, when you put one coin inside, and you are the best driver, you can drive whole game. Whole day for one coin. Yeah, this is the best. If you are the best.
That's amazing. And
yeah, I love this.
Did you do that?
No.
No.
But this is really tough game.
But at House of the Dead, I used to be good.
Yeah.
What about these?
Pinballs, just pinballs.
What's the oldest machine that you've got in this place?
The oldest one is board golf from 1932.
1932. I think I saw that. That was by the
wood one. Yeah.
The wood one from 1932.
100% mechanical pinball machine.
Do you know what you need? I just thought of it. You need a jukebox.
No.
You don't like
jukebox?
You
know why?
Why?
When you come here at the evening,
yeah,
and here is about 50 people playing,
yeah,
you don't hear anything.
You wouldn't hear anything.
Because you hear only 50 pinballs and arcade games working and shooting and playing.
And you like that, yeah?
I love it.
That's an amazing sound. This is a great
The oldest one is from 1932, and the youngest pinball machine I have is from 1999. But the youngest one have 20 years.
That's his Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I love things in the old games. Of course, you need to rescue girl. You are the hero to rescue.
Say no to drugs. That's from the 80s.
Yes.
Right? Because you don't want anybody...
Don't use drugs and drive.
Yeah.
Don't drink and drive.
Don't play pinball and use drugs.
Yes.
Yeah.
The pinball champions don't use drugs.
No, they got it. Hey, look, I saw
Like
Tommy.
this. Yeah.
And Pinball Wizard has to be clean. That was one of the messages.
Yeah.
It's a purity, right?
Yes.
You remember the movie? Yeah. Okay, we got Lethal Weapon here.
Yeah. Classic film.
This is an old classic. Yeah.
And taxi one.
Oh, we got
and look
taxi.
who's
This is
here.
Gorbachev.
Yeah.
Marilyn Monroe.
And Mary Monroe.
And Keith Richards. No, I don't know who that is.
No, but Dracula and Santa Claus
Is that Santa Claus?
with pinball. But the best thing is that this one is with Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
There is not
Fantastic.
too many.
Speaking of
them.
Marilyn Monroe, where is Miriam, I wonder? She's still shooting.
She's shooting still.
She's still shooting things? We'll get to her in a second. Look, you got the Flintstones here.
Yeah.
Gilligan's
Flintstones,
Island.
yeah.
These are old television shows from the 60s
A
or
nice
something.
game.
Yeah. And
Very good game for kids. Flintstones
Shadow.
and
this is Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
I barely recognize it.
Very nice graphics.
Yeah. It's
Shadow.
this
With
looks like an
Khan.
amazing game, actually.
I love with Khan.
That was a good movie. I enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Nice pinball.
The Shadow knows. Miriam, what are you doing down there?
Yeah.
You shooting some bad guys? How's it going there? Miriam's shooting bad guys. Shoot them, Miriam. Are you winning? Yeah? Hey, come up here. We got another game for you to play. You want to join us? Can I drag you away from shooting bad guys? Come on. So, Pavel, you wanted Miriam to try the...
Yeah, let's check that she can drive something.
The racing machine, right? Okay,
I love
stay with us, folks.
Race games.
Poland Daily Travel. Miriam's going to come up here, and here she comes, and we're going to put her on the driving machine after this break.
Okay.
Be right back.